Welcome to the World War II Research and Writing Center and the Ancestral Souls Wisdom School. I'm Jennifer Hollick, and today I'm going to share a little bit more with you about Army morning reports, also known as company morning reports. Now, I'm seeing a lot more people talk about these online. I'm seeing some new videos pop up, new blog posts, and other things. And I just want to set the record straight on a few ways that you can use these records, what they do, what they don't do, and how you can access them. So before we take a little stroll on the NARA catalog to look at some of these, I want to just go through what is a morning report. Now, the morning reports were created for the Army and the Army Air Forces for World War I and World War II. This is what you're going to find online. For World War I, they are located on fold 3. They are handwritten, and you're not going to get as much detail as you will when you use the World War II records. World War II morning reports are located on NARA Catalog at least through December 1944. And I am recording this on the 18th of June, 2026. So if you're watching this later and the 1945 have finally been released online, hooray. But as of today, you have to access 1945 at the National Personnel Record Center. You can go there or you can hire a researcher. One thing that I'm seeing people say is that you can send in Form 180 to get these records, and that is not true. The archivist prior to closure in 2020 did not do this level of research for World War I and World War II, and they still don't do that today. Now, as far as mid-1960s, when Social Security numbers came into effect, prior to 2020 shutdown, they would research that for you, and they would do 3 months at a time and block out everybody's social. The rules as far as accessing those records have changed a lot since 2022. So if those are the records you need to contact the archives and ask what is the current process to access those. With any of these federal record centers, rules and restrictions and regulations have changed a lot since they reopened in 2022. So always call and ask or check their website for the latest. All right. Army morning reports were created every 24 hours. They document the location of a company. They will document the date. They will tell you what the changes are for the personnel in that company. So it is not a daily attendance sheet. You're not going to see your Army soldier, for example, listed every single day on a report. You will only see changes. This might include promotions, demotions, transfers in or out, change in that MOS or job. Maybe they have been sent on detached duty or detached service. Maybe they've gone AWOL. Maybe they are being arrested in quarters because they went AWOL or something else happened. Maybe they are sick. Maybe they have been taken prisoner. They are missing. They were killed in action, died of wounds, something else that changed them from being healthy and just doing their job. Okay, all of that gets documented. Then within each report, there is often, but not always, a short record of events that it just explains what happened that day, whether they're stateside or they're overseas. Now, that said, every military record for World War II had a standard of what had to be recorded on it. Some report writers put the bare minimum, others wrote novels, but you won't know until you see the records. Okay? Now, how do we search these? Well, if you are looking for 1940 through the end of 1944, you can go to NARA Catalog and search them. But let's talk about NARA Catalog for a moment before we jump on there, because it is a very wonky, frustrating site to search. Sometimes things will come up easily. Sometimes you have to search a variety of ways for things to show up. Sometimes the record can be clear, just like it was printed off of a printer. Everything is readable, and that result will not come up. Nobody knows why. The catalog just is not the most user-friendly out there. So you really do have to be creative. And if you want to learn more on how to search NARA Catalog and Fold 3, I do teach classes on that every single month. You can go to the link in the description and visit my online store and see what's up on tap. You can also go to the freebies tab and sign up for my newsletter, which comes out twice a week, with some links to articles and records and tips and resources, and then also what's coming up. and the occasional discount or coupon for different classes and coaching. So also with those Fold 3 and NARA classes, there is now a workbook that will help you define how you're going to search and look for that information. So come and join us. So let's go look on Fold 3 or NARA Catalog and figure out how we're going to search. Okay, to search World War II Army morning reports for the Army or the Army Air Forces, you want to go to the National Archives Catalog. Okay, now there's a couple different ways to approach these records. Number one, you can start at the main screen, and we're going to start with the service number. I always start with all of my search terms in quotes, just because it helps narrow down the set of results. So let's look for my cousin James Provoznik. He was part of the 90th Infantry Division at the end of his life and was killed in action 11 January 1945 during the Battle of the Bulge. So when we search by his service number, we're going to see a lot of different results come up, right? But we are focusing on the Army morning reports. So what I will do from this screen is go to part of record group on the left side and click record group 64, which is the records of the National Archives and Records Administration. Within this, I am going to have general orders that may list him, and then Army morning reports. All right. Let's just take a look at this general order. Sometimes NARA Catalog will give you this little box that says search terms found and what image out of it. This result actually has 199 images. Some results have upwards of 1,000 or 2,000. NARA Catalog does not always give you that box. So sometimes you do have to just go through all the images to try to find what you're looking for. Now, as far as browsers and how these images appear, if you are in Chrome, which I currently am, the images down the right side of the screen are going to show up in chronological order. If you are using Firefox or Brave, they show up in reverse chronological order. I don't know why that is. It just is. Now, when we click image 63 over here and we go to the results, at the top it says this is paragraph 1, General Order 6, Headquarters 358th Infantry Division, dated January 20th. And it looks like there are names, ranks, service numbers, companies, and dates. But what exactly does this mean? Well, here's James. And here it says that looks like a 6 January 1945, but we don't really know what this roster is, right? So you go back to the right side of the screen and you scroll up and you find the first page of this document, this general order. And it says, this is the award of the Combat Infantryman Badge. So everybody listed in this particular general order, no matter what page they're on, as long as they're under section 1, they're receiving the Combat Infantryman Badge. This is something that you would put in your timeline of service, okay? A timeline of service is not a family tree timeline. It is a timeline specific to the information on your soldier, your sailor, your Marine, whoever you're researching. Now, that timeline, I always create in a Word document with 3 columns. Column 1 is the date of the event or the record I'm looking at. Column 2 is the unit and their location, and column 3 is always the notes from that record. And I always put a footnote so that I know exactly where I got that information. Now, for James, in his timeline of service, I would put on 6 January 1945, he was awarded the Combat Infantryman Badge. Per General Order number 6, dated 20 January 1945, issued by Headquarters 358th Infantry Regiment, and then I would put in Record Group 64, Okay. With footnotes, especially if you're new to genealogy or military research, you can make them as extensive as you want, or just enough so that you know where to go back and get that information. Okay, so you will find general orders within these results. Now, you will also find morning reports. And here we have no search result, and I'm not going to take the time right now to search all of those records. Let's go to another result. Typically, when I do research for a client or I'm preparing to teach a small group coaching and my students email me and say, this is what I'm looking for, I will first hit the easy answers. So which of the results will tell me which image to click on? I go for that first, and then I go back for the more time-consuming reports that don't tell me. And again, if you are putting this into your timeline of service, you will know what units to then search for. Okay, so here we have on 18 December 44, James Provoznik's MOS, that job is changed to 189, and he is part of the 790th Ordnance Light Maintenance Company. And there is a small record of events down here about what was happening that day. Now, I want to show you just a few other ways to search, but I know that he was later in December transferred into the 358th Infantry Regiment because Patton needed riflemen during the Battle of the Bulge. And on 11 January, he was killed in action. So I can find some of his information just by searching his service number. Okay. You can also try searching by his name, last name, comma, first name, middle initial. If it's not a common name, you could also take out the middle initial and see if that gives you different results. NARA Catalog will give you different results depending on how you search and really what day you search. Because the way you search today, you come back tomorrow or next week and you may get some different search results. Again, nobody knows why this is. It's just what it is. So what do you do if you know that James Provoznik is part of the 790th as of December 44, but he doesn't show up on a morning report again until, let's say, the first time he shows up in 44 might be April, and he is being transferred into this unit. So April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and most of December, what is he doing? Well, again, if he is not listed, but you want to reconstruct the footsteps and know where his unit was, you would search the NARA catalog for the unit. Now, typically, when the clerk typed 790th space ordnance spelled out space L period space M period space company, they would keep that pretty consistent until somebody else took over the creation of those reports. So if you go into NARA Catalog and you want to find those other months, you're going to start typing the way it is on the top of the catalog. And you might only want to put a little bit in and then let the catalog pull up what else shows up. Okay. So that is just one other way to search. And usually then it will bring up the rest of the months for that company. And then you can start to go through them and add to your timeline all the different places somebody was and what they were doing. Okay. Now, another thing that you can do is to search the collaterals. So let's say you cannot find your veteran in these records, but you know he's there. Maybe look at who else was serving with him, who else shows up on a lot of the different reports with him, who is moving through different training. Let's say they're a fighter pilot and they're going from base to base. And maybe they've been assigned to a specific squadron at this point stateside, and then they go overseas. You can look for those collateral people, see where they show up. That'll also, if they're in the same company, give you that month's worth of records. And then you can look and just see, does my guy show up? Because sometimes, again, NARA Catalog isn't going to give you the result for your person, but you'll find them another way. And a lot of my students will tell me this. Oh my gosh, I put in that collateral person who flew with my uncle and boom, there's my dad, or there's my uncle, or whoever they're searching for. So again, you have to be really, really creative with this, okay? Enter every single one you find in your timeline of service and start building from there. All right. If you have questions or you want to come learn more about this, I teach an Army Morning Reports class once or twice a month. I teach the Fold 3 and NARA coaching class where we walk through lots of different scenarios for the students and I show you a lot of tips and tricks. There's a great workbook. And then with the Army and the Army Air Force strategy classes to teach you the two-part strategy to learn how to research, even if the service file burned, we do go through morning reports and NARA catalog in there. So check the description, click the links, go check out what's on offer, sign up for the newsletter, subscribe here because there will be more videos coming out on a lot of different topics for World War I and World War II research. If you have questions, drop them in the comments or shoot me an email. Have a great day.